They told us we were heroes when they put us on the transport. Though I suspect they say the same to every wave of men they throw into the grinder. We were given no medals, no laurels. Only a regulation lasgun, a flak vest that could barely stop a knife thrust, and the assurance that we were serving the Emperor in the only way that mattered, by dying in his name. I suppose some still cling to that comfort. Personally, I've begun to wonder whether the Emperor even knows our names, or if he simply tallies us in the endless ledger of souls poured into this war without end. I began this diary because the regiment's priest insisted we should all record our service for posterity. He told us it would inspire future generations of guardsmen, that our words would show them how courage can shine, even in the blackest night. If anyone ever reads this, I hope you see the truth instead. That courage is not the fire of heroes, but the slow, choking smoke of men who cannot run, cannot hide, and cannot stop fighting because the commissar is behind them with a pistol and the enemy is in front of them with a chain axe. Day 1. Arrival at the front, the transport landed us on what the maps call Outpost 17. Though to us it is nothing more than a cratered wasteland of blackened mud and twisted wire. The air smells of rust and old blood, a tang so thick it clings to your tongue even when you breathe through a rag. No birds, no insects, no signs of life. Only the ceaseless thunder of artillery, pounding like the heartbeat of some ancient dying god. Our regiment, the 128th Phoebe Rifles, numbered 15,000 when we left home. By the time we assembled for roll call on the front lines, we were already fewer. Transport accidents, sickness, desertions, no one bothers to explain the losses. The commissar simply reads the adjusted figure, and we stand there silently, knowing that every gap will be filled soon enough by new recruits who have no idea what awaits them. They call this war zone the Grinder, not an official name, of course, but it is whispered among the men like a curse. Here, entire regiments are swallowed whole, consumed in battles that achieve nothing more than buying a few more hours of stalemate. They send us forward by the thousands, we die by the thousands, and then they send the next wave. The enemy is always waiting, entrenched, prepared, eager to carve us down. The officers call it strategy. We call it slaughter. Day 11, the first push. I still remember the whistle that signaled us over the top. The sound was shrill, almost cheerful, absurdly out of place in that wasteland of churned mud and corpses. For a moment we just stood there staring at each other, until the commissar's bolt pistol barked, and a man dropped dead beside me. That was enough to move us forward. We surged over the barricade like a tide of meat, stumbling into no man's land where the wire twisted like the entrails of giants. The ground was slick with blood, the corpses of those who had charged before us serving as both stepping stones and grim reminders of our fate. Lascan fire lanced out from our lines, a futile attempt to cover us, but it was drowned almost immediately by the heavier roar of the enemy's weapons. Autocannons tore through our ranks, men exploded into sprays of red mist, and still we ran forward. I do not remember firing my weapon. I do not remember what I shouted, or whether I shouted at all. I remember the faces, though. Faces torn away by shrapnel, faces half buried in the mud, faces screaming as they were dragged under by the wounded, who clutched at them like drowning men. We reached the enemy trench with perhaps a third of our number, and then the real killing began. They were heretics, traitors in rusted armor, chanting prayers to their dark gods as they cut us down. Chainswords buzzed, axes fell, and the trench filled with a noise so hideous I will never be free of it. I swung my bayonet until my arms ached, stabbing, slashing, pushing bodies into the mud. The blood was waist, deep by the time the commissar blew his whistle to signal the retreat. Retreat, as if there was anywhere to retreat to. We staggered back the way we came, tripping over corpses, dragging the wounded, leaving most behind. When we returned to our line, the officers called it a successful probe. They said we had tested the enemy's defenses, identified their positions, softened them for the next assault. That night, we burned the bodies of our dead in a pit. And I wondered how much softer the enemy had become, surrounded by the ashes of 1,500 guardsmen. Day 37, the living conditions. I thought the battlefield was hell, but the trenches are worse. We sleep in dugouts carved into the mud, walls collapsing when the rain comes, ceilings dripping filth onto our faces. Rats gnaw at our rations, our boots, and sometimes our flesh. Disease spreads faster than any enemy shell, and the medici can do little more than cut away the rot and pray the infection does not spread. We are issued 1 canteen of water a day, though it tastes of rust and chemicals, and most of us drink from the stagnant pools anyway, knowing it will sicken us but too thirsty to care. Food is corpse, starch, tasteless gray blocks that sit like stone in the stomach. Some men whisper that it is made from the very bodies we burn, that we eat our own brothers day after day. I do not know if that is true, but I do not doubt it. Nothing is wasted here. Everything is consumed. The officers rarely come down into the trenches. They sit in their command bunkers, dry and warm, issuing orders through vox casters that crackle with static. When they do appear, it is only to berate us for our appearance, our lack of discipline, as though muddy uniforms and hollow eyes are a sign of weakness rather than inevitability. The commissars prowl among us like carrion birds, their pistols always ready to silence any hint of despair. We whisper only in secret, and even then we watch the shadows. Day 89, the attrition of the 15,000 who landed. Fewer than 5 remain after 3 months. Reinforcements arrive every week. Wide-eyed recruits fresh from their homeworlds, clutching their lascans like talismans. They last a week, 2 at most, before they join the rest in the mud. The cycle never ends. The grinder does not stop. I have begun to recognize the look in their eyes, the new ones. At first, it is fear, then horror, then numb resignation. Some break sooner, clawing at the wire to escape, only to be cut down by the commissar's pistol. Others cling to faith, muttering prayers as they march, until their prayers are drowned out by screams. A few, the rare few, find something else, an emptiness that allows them to keep killing long after sanity should have fled. They become machines, hollow shells, perfect soldiers. I envy them. Day 147. The revelation I no longer remember my own face. I have not seen a mirror in months, and the puddles reflect only blood and shadow. Perhaps that is fitting. I am not a man anymore, only a number, a cog in the great machine of war. They will grind me down until nothing remains, and then they will feed my bones to the altar of statistics, and no one will ever know that I existed. And yet, there is a strange peace in this knowledge. To be forgotten is to be free of expectation. To be faceless is to be eternal, because one cannot truly die if one was never truly alive. I fight because I am told to fight, and I kill because killing is the only thing left to me. I march when they whistle, I charge when they command, and when I fall, another will take my place, and the grinder will continue to turn. We are not heroes. The Imperium feeds on us, burns us, spends us without thought, and still we go willingly because the alternative is worse. There is no life outside the Guard, no peace, no respite. Only war, forever war, until the stars themselves grow cold. Day 200, The end, I feel it now, the end drawing close. My body's broken, scarred, hollowed by hunger and sickness. I can no longer lift my lasgun without shaking, and yet, tomorrow, they will send us forward again, and I will run, and I will kill, and I will die. If anyone finds this diary, know that I was once a man named Geron Malvos, conscript of the 128th Phoebe Rifles. Know that I lived, that I fought, that I bled, and know that I was ground down like all the rest. Another faceless skull in the Emperor's endless pyramid of sacrifice. Remember this, if nothing else, the meat grinder never stops, and none of us escape it.